Hey everybody, let's have a little conversation about RAW files, JPEGs and HDRs, shall we? So what's a RAW file? Well, the RAW file is your unfiddled with data. It is what the camera captured and it has not been fiddled with in any way. The JPEG is either made for you by your camera, so when you think you're doing it right in camera and you just want it straight out of the camera as a JPEG, actually your camera's doing the post-production for you, and I'm going to show you a little something with that in a moment. And then the HDR are for those times when your eyes and the camera see things differently, because cameras and eyes do see things completely differently, particularly in high contrast situations, and I can prove that. If you get someone to stand in front of a window, for example, you look at them and you can see both their face, the detail in them, and what's going on up the garden. But if you try to take a photo of them, what are you likely to get? It's going to be something like this, isn't it? They're going to go into a bit of a silhouette, when what we could see was something like this, which is an HDR image I have made from this shot. Now let's just move back a bit. So you've got your silhouette, that's what the camera's done, and you think, okay, well, let's just brighten up the exposure a bit. So as you do, okay, we're getting closer to seeing our friend, but the background's getting brighter and brighter until you reach the point where you can see the person, but the background just looks a mess. So what was that thing I just said about the JPEG is the image that your camera has developed from the RAW file for you? Let me show you. So if I take, let's just take the middle exposure, this one here, which has got the most data at either end. I'm just going to quickly make a copy. If I make a virtual copy here in Lightroom, I can then apply the developed settings that my camera would have put onto it, and you can see the JPEG the camera would have made. So let's just whiz down the bottom here to the camera calibration. This is on Adobe standard. That means it's Adobe's own basic thing. It means it hasn't been fiddled with in any way. You can see here Provia standard. That is a developed setting within my camera. Your camera will have them too. They may not be the same as mine because it depends on the make, but these are controls from within the camera that you can apply to your RAW file, and these are how your camera makes your JPEGs. So let's click on that one. Right, did you see it change? If we just look between the two, there's the untouched RAW file, and this is what the camera would have done to it, and it doesn't look great, does it? It's not what we want. It's nowhere near what our eyes were seeing, which was much closer to that. So how are we going to work with this? What are we going to do? Well, what we're going to do next is I'm actually going to take you back in time to when I shot this picture, because we filmed it, and I just want to show you the whole setup and how they were shot and bracketing the exposures so that we've got the good stuff. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come back here in part 2 and we're going to put them together, merge them, photo merge them as HDRs. I'm just going to show you what some of the things mean within Lightroom. But first off, let's go back in time. Let's go take the photo. Come on, Rosie Wise, let's go and play in the summer house. So we've got a door, we've got a window, and we've got my lovely friend Rosie Wise, who's volunteered to come and have her picture taken. And I think, as you can already see, you can see the garden, you can see Rosie as a bit of a silhouette, but I'm standing here and you've just got to take my word for it. I can see Rosie's face. Yes, it's shadowy, yes, it's dark, but I can see both. It's not an either or situation. Let me see if I can take a picture and just sort of show you what happens in the camera. So yeah, just stay there for a mo, Rosie. In fact, I'm going to attempt. I am still here, it's just I'm sort of out of shot. This is a very small and echoey summer house. Let me see if I can just take a picture, but I'm going to try and roll a bit of Fuji video to show you. So here we go. This is what my little Fuji is seeing through the camera on normal exposure. And as you can see, this kind of area out here, this is kind of, you know, showing all right. We've got a little bit of light on this side of Rosie's face, but that's about it. Otherwise, she's a silhouette. In order to see more of Rosie, and I'm hoping this works, I have to increase the exposure. You can see it's just sneaking up little by little. And you can see a bit of her face now. We can see a little more. But look what's happening to the background. It's just absolutely blowing out, isn't it? So now we can see some of Rosie's face, but the background is completely gone. So how do we deal with that? Well, if I can stop the video. Regular viewers are used to me swearing because I can't turn the video on and off on the Fuji. So how do we deal with that? Well, obviously, there is the whole HDR thing. I've never found it hugely successful. I find the best method is to put a flash, use light, add light here, add a reflector. Not a flash straight into somebody's face, because it'd look horrible. I'm not demonstrating it. So we're talking about this, you know, how your eye sees light different to a camera. But we could have a little go at an HDR, couldn't we? You know, by taking multiple exposures, you bracket them in camera, you then bung them into Lightroom or whatever you use, and then you map them together. Lightroom is brilliant for this. Anyway, let's have a little look. So Rosie, I'm going to try two things. We're going to have one shot here with Rosie just leaning against the door, where it really is quite dark. This is a test, okay? It really is very dark. Could you just go back a little and outside? Maybe that way, a tiny bit. Thank you. I don't know if you guys can see in the video camera, but the light on Rosie's face is a lot brighter. She's only gone back a little bit, but it really is a lot brighter. So we're going to do one here, an HDR, and one there, and have a little look and see what happens. So Rosie, would you mind coming back in? And let's see what happens. So how am I going to do this? Well, I am going to do it by setting the camera onto a manual exposure, and I need to find the one where I think it's the best balance, probably between the two. So I've got some burnt highlights and summer Rosie, because what's the important part of this picture here? Is the picture of what's going on out there in the garden, or is it of your lovely mate? Right, so I've got her in focus. I think I've found a manual exposure which is somewhere halfway between the two. So I've got, what have I got? I can't even see it because the thing's, I can't see it, I'll put it on screen. So I've got a shot here, I'll put my camera on bracket, I've set it to bracket, one under and one over. So let's just, there we go, we had 3 frames there. Let me bring those up and have a quick little look at the histograms. They're very spiky at either end. Let's have a look at the next one. That's better, we got more of Rosie's face, it's still quite dark and moody. And it's not the most flattering lighting either. But we've got 3 shots. We've got good histogram stuff going on. Let's try one more. Rosie, would you mind going just outside where you were? That's it, you got it. Let me have a little look. You see now the light in camera is already much nicer. Let me just see if I can video this for you again, guys. Bear with me, I know this is, I'm off camera a lot here. Probably a blessing, because I know you'd rather look at Rosie than me. Why are you laughing? Right, let's have a look. I've just lowered my ISO a bit, but here we go. So let me just take a shot going with what the camera wants to do, which is going to be, bear with me, I'm having to use my torch. It's so dark in here, I can't even see the top of my camera. I've got my little iPhone torch going on here. Right, now the camera is making this completely wrong, and I do not know why. It's because I'm still set on 3 stops over. Look, let me roll the video to show you the mistake I just made. Look, so we're on 3 stops over. And actually now Rosie is in slightly nicer light. It's kinder on her face. We're seeing more detail in the background. But if I bring this back to where the camera wants to take it, you see we should be getting a bit darker and a bit darker. And we're starting to get more of the background come into the shot. But look, you see now we're seeing the detail outside. Rosie Wise has become a silhouette. Right. Let's shoot our HDR from there. Ritual swearing, trying to turn off the video camera. Here we go. I'm going to set the manual exposure again, where I think is about right, somewhere between the two. And I think it's somewhere around there, which I'm getting a 125th of a second at f5.6, and I'm using 600 ISO. Can you see me? 600 ISO. So, set it onto bracket and hold it really still, Rosie Wise. Here we go. Don't flinch. That's looking pretty good actually. In part 2, I'm going to go back and I'm going to see if I can do an HDR. I'm going to have a look at the differences in the computer in Lightroom. If you found this useful, that's great. Please click in a few likes. This is part of my 7 steps to perfect pictures. So the next part is going to be a little insight into that course. If you'd like to sign up to my newsletter to find out about more videos each time they come available, you can do that on my website at photographycourses.biz/newsletter. Click in a few likes, leave us a few comments, and please share the video around because it'll help me make more. Take care.